Did you know that St. Luke's University Health Network has been recognized by the U.S. government as the highest performing health system in the United States for quality? You heard right. St. Luke's #1 recognition affirms our status as the top leader among the most respected healthcare providers in the nation, including Houston Methodist and the Mayo Clinic. To state it simply, if you want to receive the best care when you go to a hospital, come to St. Luke's.
Excuse me! Taxi! What are you doing?
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
We are back, and John Solomon is with us, justinnews.com, and he always has some breaking news, so we always do the breaking news, son. Yeah, what is the hot news of the day today, John?
Well, it may not be hot, but it's scary, actually. There have been 243 million gallons of untreated raw sewage that has been pumped into the Potomac River as a result of a blue state failure. They had a bad sewage area. It leaked into the Potomac. It has been continuously leaking for the last month.
Which state?
The state of Maryland. Remember last night we might have seen Maryland's governor on CBS having a town hall, but he didn't have enough time to fix this pipe yet. It's still leaking a significant amount of sewage. Now, almost 3 weeks into the crisis, it's one of the most...
That's a lot of crap.
That is. That's a great line.
To cut that. Exactly right.
Spot on.
But you know what? It's given President Trump an opportunity to rail on something that I think he's really starting to hit home with on voters, and that is blue state Democrats talk a lot, but they often don't get action done. We saw Mondami struggle with the big snowstorm in New York. 19 people freeze to death there. Newsom's overseas in Germany talking to Germans and the Europeans, but his home is bankrupt back home. And Governor Westmore doing a CBS town hall. But
by the way, John, you know, you brought up the Newsom stuff. I want to go back to that just real quick because I find it so offensive that he was over there. And in fact, some of the new comments that he made were saying, you know, calling ICE Gestapo and, you know, using the secret police. I mean, not only was he bashing Trump, he was bashing all like law enforcement. I just find it so distasteful going over in a foreign country and bashing law enforcement and the president of the United States.
We used to have a rule in Washington that we didn't do that to the commander-in-chief overseas. Over here is fine. We have our debates. We can criticize each other. But today, Democrats don't abide by any of those rules. Another interesting one, you've probably seen this group a lot of times over the years, Code Pink. They'd like to interfere and upset congressional hearings. That's probably what they're most famous for. They just interrupted a recent testimony by the Secretary of State. But in their spare time, they're running a campaign to say that China isn't our enemy. And they've been organizing trips for Americans to go over and get the red carpet literally rolled out for them in China by the communist government. One of the many examples of how American nonprofits are in bed with China. This story dug up by my great reporter, Jerry Dunleavy, but really incredible detail. And the woman doing this is married to Neville Roy Singham, if that name sounds familiar. He's the man who's been funding those protests in Minnesota.
Yeah, absolutely. Judge Weinberg.
Good to talk to you again, John. The fact of the matter is what you have is a coordinated effort by Singham, by his wife through Code Pink, to infiltrate this country, to undermine this country, to use not-for-profits for political messaging, to use taxpayer dollars for their political messaging. And it's all about hurting America. And the alliance with China is very troubling because we're being infiltrated by Chinese money. We have faculty members who adhere to the Communist Party philosophy. What do we do about this, John?
Well, at some point, someone needs to start pulling those nonprofit statuses. If you're collaborating with China, if you're helping to block ICE agents and you're using nonprofit money, maybe that's not in the public interest. Maybe it's time to yank those tax-exempt status, and that would have a profound effect on the left. The left uses all these nonprofits to do all of this work with overseas forces and, of course, on our own soil. Taking away that tax exemption would handicap them in a big way. We've been talking about it for about a month or two, but no action yet from the Trump IRS, the Trump Treasury Department, lots of investigations. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some action in the next couple of weeks.
And we have Michael Carey here, son of Hugh Carey.
John Solomon, Michael Carey, big fan. But you know what I've been waiting for is some type of forensic analysis or tracing of these monies, because clearly, whether it be through the NGOs or through foreign entities, these monies are going all over the place, coming back, and then being used to organize protests that are actually just disruptions. And by the way, isn't the governor of Tim Walz a big Chinese fan, big Chinese traveler? I seem to remember that from.
Yeah, he went over there, didn't he? Like go over
times,
there? Yeah, many times.
I think he's part Chinese.
He's part Chinese.
There's also
we've been
John.
trying to get his emails from that time, because he was in the National Guard a lot of the time, and they refused to give us his emails. We ought to know what he was talking about when he was over there.
100%, for better or worse. Maybe it's all about nothing, but I seriously doubt it.
Also, there's a linkage between Governor Newsom and the Chinese in terms of doing a lot of business with China, and he's the number one candidate on behalf of the Chinese Communist Party for the Democratic nomination.
I think in the next few weeks, as the president ramps up pressure to get the SAVE Act passed, the Save America Act passed, and get citizenship checks and voter ID, we're going to find out what our U.S. intelligence services have known about Chinese infiltration, Chinese collaboration with American liberal organizations, and perhaps even some Democratic politicians. I think that's coming down the pipe, and that could be a really great education moment. The Democratic Party, the liberal left, and the Chinese Communist Party in cahoots with each other, trying to manipulate election results, certainly election outcomes. I don't want to say results, but outcomes, trying to sway elections. That is a really significant, powerful story. And I think it's right over the horizon. I think we're about to get some big disclosures in the next few weeks.
Maybe we should start with Eric Swalwell and Fang Fang.
Let's get to the bottom of the Manchurian.
Yeah, there may be more coming out on Swalwell. You're right over the target on some of that, Rita.
Well, keep us posted, John. We always love having you here.
John Solomon, thank you. JustinNews.com. You get up-to-the-moment breaking news.
The best stuff.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
It's tax season, and at LifeLock, we know you're tired of numbers. But here's a big one you need to hear. Billions. That's the amount of money in refunds the IRS has flagged for possible identity fraud. Now here's another big number. 100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it guaranteed. One last big number. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast for the threats you can't control. Terms apply.